Board games, board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, board games, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this morning with a little bit of singing. And for you, it's maybe afternoon or night. Regardless, I hope you're having a good time. I hope it's quite a delight. Hello, Xate. I hope you're well. Or relatively okay, at least if things can't be swell. Board games we might not talk about so much, but still we can use Friendly Friday forums to keep in touch. Board games we may talk about. Board games I might talk about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Hello and good morning, and yeah, I hope that you're generally well. Hello, Dina. It is lovely to see you. It is lovely to see you, Xate. And of course, I am Bez. This is episode 294 of Bezzy Beats and Board Game Blether. And today, as with every Friday, except for next Friday it is not happening. Yep, I'm going to keep saying that for the next week. You're going to get tired of me, but if I did not say it, then someone would come in on Friday and be disappointed. But having said that, Dina might be doing wee thing, which I will be hosting, but that will be its own separate thing. But there is no Friendly Friday forum necessarily next week. Anyway, what's his Friendly Friday forum? Well, chat about anything you want. If you want to jump in on the video, you can. If you are feeling up to it, you can just jump in and say, hey, you know what? I want to jump in and talk about how I am, and just I want to vocalize things and speak with my mouth rather than typing with my fingers. Whatever is easier for you, whatever makes you comfortable. If you enjoy being in the background and chatting, then that, please, thank you so much for staying there. This started off because I always feel like if someone said to me, hey, you can join this chat if you want to, I'd be like, yeah, amazing. I definitely want to join you, yes, person. And and so I thought, yeah, whilst not everyone is like me, hopefully some people have joined in the past, like CD and Michael and indeed Xate. And if you want to join in, you are more than welcome. So that is what's coming up. And what exactly will happen, I don't know. But we will start off with the regular features and talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. So what have been some of my recent highlights? Well, I did manage to do some art for the categorical deck, which, in case you didn't see on the Discord, these are my letter shapes so far. I know the size of some of them is a wee bit wrong, like J should be a wee bit bigger, but broadly, I feel like this is how I feel like I'm happy with this. I feel like once I've done the rest of the letters, then I'm going to tell people on Kickstarter, and unless anyone says anything, oh, that's a bit wrong, then I will just get to doing the final art. So, because, yeah, it's been a long time coming. Anyway, that is one of my recent highlights. The other recent highlight is playing my Setsei with family, which we got to episode, I want to say, 17. And in episode 17, I'm not going to say any spoilers, but what happens is you've got a bleep, and then you put the bleep on the bleep, and for every bleep that's by the bleep, then bleep, 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 bleep. You know what I'm talking about. And it's very interesting. So moving on swiftly from that, Senso by Usagi Ojimbo, which is, as you might have known, for the past 8 years, I kind of didn't buy any new books while I was in London, and been catching up, and this is just such a good book. So normally Usagi Yojimbo is all about feudal Japan, maybe a bit of superstition, a bit of mythology. This is basically feudal Japan meets War of the Worlds. So there's a whole bunch of robots crashing down. And in the intro, it starts off with a little comic where Usagi, where is it? Usagi says, "That's dumb." And it's a kind of interview between the character and the writer, where the writer explains the idea, and then Rabbit is like, "That's such a stupid idea. Why would you do that?" But it is done in a silly way. It's done in a joyous way, but it's also done in a meaningful way. It's set about 15 years after most of the events of the end of the Usagi Yojimbo saga, so some of them are a little older, not necessarily wiser, and there's this, what will happen at the end? How will they overcome this alien invasion? And there's some beautiful artwork, strong use of all the characters, varying line weight, some really dramatic imagery. It's really beautiful, and so, I was not disappointed by that. Now, thank you, Dina. That is so lovely of you to say. Hello, Claire Llewellyn. It's lovely for you to join us. I've just been showing off my things. Today I'm just chatting, and anyone who wants to jump in. So Claire Llewellyn, I'm going to give you a wee shout out. So is a musician also based in UK. I can't remember where you're from. Remind us where you're from. And I am actually a moderator, and they are just doing the most amazing looping stuff. Llewellyn. Hopefully that works. Okay. So, from letter shapes to games to comics, what else have you been up to? What have you been enjoying recently? What have you enjoyed? What's been life all about? Well, feel free to let me know. And in case you weren't here at the start, and there you go, from Kent. And in case you weren't here at the start, Friendly Friday Forum, it's all chaotic, and we will go along with the chaotic shenanigans as we've got in this little thing, where people are allowed to force me to take out things and then do a random thing. Let's talk about brilliant thing, what's a little thing which is brilliant? I might have talked about comics before, but I think that comics are pretty darn awesome. I think that comics are amazing, just that juxtaposition of art and words, and the way that the words are put can affect the impact that you get, the lettering. If we look at, again, looking the sound effects that you've got in the background, brings a real atmosphere to the page, and then it can express the way that someone is shouting, or express the way that someone, under dying breath, the letters are a little bit smaller, a little bit more faded, as Lord Hebby shouts Hikiji. And I think that comics are brilliant, and it kind of reminds me of games in a way, because in the same way that comics are using this mixture of words and images and putting together and creating something that is bigger than either one, that is brilliant. And in the same way, games have rules, but also arts and also graphic design and product design, and it's all mixing together. I mean, Yogi, I'm going to admit, it's better than In a Bind ever was, because you can play it in the bath. So, last week, Xate's dishwasher broke, and yesterday, Xate works out using YouTube how to fix it by herself. Congratulations, Xate. That's awesome. That is definitely sounds like an achievement. I agree. Dina had a chat with Bruno, designer behind Trap Attack. I don't know that game, but that does sound like lots of fun. What was this what was that chat all about? Clea has been enjoying Star Trek on mushrooms, all about mycelium network and mushrooms. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. Yeah, I agree with this. Fixing your own dishwasher. Like, I wouldn't know where to start either. I mean, maybe Googling it. I guess that's where I would start. But congratulations, that is pretty darn awesome. And overcoming the being overwhelmed and thinking, oh, maybe a handy guy can come and help, but no one could or would because of lockdown, but you managed to take it into your own hands. So congratulations, Xate. That is awesome. So yeah, congratulations. Now, I am going to listen to Stream Elements and do a tiny bit of turning around whilst you ask me any frivolous questions about life or board games or silly things or ducks or chocolates. Although, man, I'm craving chocolate so much and I'm trying to be not too naughty. I know that I said in February. How long's left of February? It's over a week left. So I said that I'd have as much sugar as I wanted, but I'm not trying to not just be like, okay, I'm going to have all the sugar. And yeah, anyway, if you have any questionably quick questions, then let me know your questionably quick questions. It is Glasgow, where I am, third story floor, 10:11. And now I will move my thing and do some stretching. Any questions? Did I have breakfast? No, I did not have breakfast. I have not eaten yet today, and I brushed my teeth very well last night. Then I got up this morning, and then I deliberately got up later than usual. I just got up, I put on some clothes again, I went outside, I had a run. I was quite mighty impressed. I'm feeling like I'm definitely getting fitter since the start of the year. And then I brushed my teeth again, so my teeth are very clean. That's what I'm doing. Trap Attack is a battle race game where you gather points for gathering treasures and stuff. That's fair. But yeah, what was the conversation about? Was Clea Llewellyn wasn't enjoying Star Trek on mushrooms, but it was about mushrooms. It was about the mycelium network, and they use it to make a way to travel to different universes. Yeah, it was a wee bit unclear, but that sounds good. What else have I enjoyed recently? I'm just going to say Flea, because I don't think anyone from here was actually Friendly Friday Forum. Let me just chat about the last week. If someone was like, hey, what have you been up to the past week? Well, I had a couple of, I arranged a couple of business meetings. One of them was yesterday. One of them is next Tuesday, I want to say. I pitched a game to I applied to Ravensburger. Ravensburger are taking my idea. Where's my bits of paper? There we go. I probably need to cut some of these out later today. I need to work out which ones are the best ones. So for my game about strange animal noises, I sent it to them and they were like, yeah, that sounds like a game that we'd like to talk to you about. And so then I'm going to have a quick play with them this evening. That's quite exciting. Yeah, earlier this week, I managed to beat Flea, although, yeah, I'll do a review of that. I think that the rules are a bit confusing, and the amount of rules questions on Board Game Geek, and I still don't know how the two certain cards interact, and I don't have much hope of them. And Jamie, I'm glad that. Sorry that you've gotten a bad neck. Definitely, if you want to join me, whenever Stream Element says it's stretching time, then do what Stream Element says and get up for as long as you feel is appropriate. And I am putting what you cannot see is I'm putting my foot on the table now. My knee is up against my chest. Oh, you still can't see it, but there. And stretching the legs as well. Yeah, should stretch the neck. Why not? And it's problematic this day and age that we live in. Okay, so if anyone has any questions at all, whether you want to ask me about board game design or publishing or what I love, you can, even if you are watching this after the fact, always feel free to comment, ask questions, and do the whole fun like follow stuff. So it actually came on very Christmas when I stopped working for 2 weeks. I'm blaming playing on Switch with kids for most of the Christmas break. Yeah, if you're like just in one position, whether it's you're so infatuated with a book or social media or work or playing games, whatever you're engrossed with and not moving, that can be really problematic. So lots of love, and I hope you get better soon. So yeah, this is Friendly Friday Forum. We keep going as long as we have things to do. If anyone wants to do chaotic shenanigans, then the way that chaotic shenanigans work, because I've not gone affiliate, you do exclamation mark points, and it costs 250 points to add a task, 500 points to make me do a task. And this is the current things going on. So I feel like, you know what I'd like to talk about is that whole going affiliate thing, because at the start, the main reason that I didn't go affiliate, I'm going to be honest, was because of Xate and Xate saying, oh, well, if you go affiliate, then everyone will see, then I'll have to see adverts. And that was definitely a downside. That wasn't something that I was aware of. And there's definitely been times when I've raided someone and I don't get to see them straight away. There's a 30-second advert when we've raided them, which I don't know if other people have found that, but it's like, whoa, I raid and then there's this 30-second advert, so I can't get stuck into the conversation. I would prefer people not to have that here, but at the same time, 30 seconds it's not a big deal. And like for sure, channel points are clearer. And recently Xate mentioned, oh, I can't make polls, and yeah, you can only make polls when I thought, yeah, so that was one reason, and the other reason was the multi-streaming. So like there's basically there's a whole bunch of reasons. So I was getting there. I didn't want to pin it all on one person. And let me I should actually change that stream elements thing. I do have better internet. So if as soon as you go affiliate, they start popping adverts whenever you go on, and that's the thing. Might need to update the stream elements message about you having better internet after 21st January. Yeah, I was just thinking that. I will do that after the stream. I mean, by the way, for other people, have you noticed the difference? Has it indeed been better internet? But yeah, the reason for not going affiliates, there's a few reasons. Reason number one is because I don't want people to have to pay to get the ad-free thing. But then having said that, I've noticed that a lot of places people do gift subs, so it might end up that someone's getting gift subs, but I don't want to have to then start, because my understanding is that the Twitch streamer has to pay if they want to give a gift sub to a regular. So like, oh yeah, you deserve a gift sub, boom, there you go. I would also have to pay for it, which seems kind of messed up. And my understanding is also that Twitch takes 50% of the money, which is quite a lot. I also understand that, yeah, Twitch doesn't allow you to put it on other places for 24 hours. But having said that, honestly, there are a few people who watch live on Facebook, and that's definitely a consideration for me. But on Facebook, I get way more trolls, especially maybe there aren't more trolls on Facebook. It's just that when it's on Facebook, there aren't people in the comments to deal with it. Like yesterday, when I was with Dina, what you couldn't see was that yesterday I was trying to negotiate an interview whilst some people in the Facebook chats were saying, "Hey, Ben, where's the raffle? Hey, wasn't there a raffle here? Wasn't there a tombola?" And I think this is like parts of, yeah, it's like a known trolling tactic where people just go in and ask about a random raffle, or they ask about these kinds of things. And yeah, yeah, exactly. I can't. No, I can gift subs to my own channel, but I have to pay for them. That's my understanding when I looked it up, when I investigated on Reddit. Xate, I understand that maybe for you they're repetitive, but for people who are just coming in for the first time, you know, do people know that I'm streaming every day at 10 a.m. UK time? Well, the regulars know, but if someone just pops in, it's nice if they. I can't. MP wanted to give me a sub to his channel and it wouldn't let him. That's interesting. Maybe, yeah, maybe what it is that they were talking about as a workaround, you make another Twitch account and then you gift a sub from another Twitch account. But yeah, I definitely saw that you can't just gift something and make it free. You have to pay if you want to do it, whether you use the backdoor method. Yeah, I guess it sounds like you do actually need to use that backdoor method of having a second Twitch account, if that's right. But it just feels, it's always a thing on my mind. Should I go affiliate? Should I not go affiliate? And the other thing is that I know some people have said, "Oh, Bez, don't be afraid of taking money if people want to give it to you." And I'm not, but 50% is a lot for Twitch to be taking. And clear, but as soon, I don't know, it feels like there's an implicit expectation to say, "Hey, I want you to pay me." And I don't know, I kind of worry that that's going to change what I do, that it's going to make it into, right now, if I were taking money from people, like I'm already feeling, oh, it's a bit weird me taking some days off. But then if I had some people who'd done some subscriptions, would I feel able to take a day off next week? I don't know if I would, and that's a problem. Maybe that's something that I need to fix in my own head. But anyway, it's kind of like, yeah, those are the reasons. The adverts, the money, changing things, and multi-streaming. Those are the main things. But Cleo says, also, the sound is better on Twitch, and for me, the atmosphere is just nicer. I think Facebook is fun to live stream on, but I like that Twitch is dedicated to streaming. Facebook is mishmash of all sorts, so it feels strange and more like busking. Yeah, I can definitely see that, but, you know, I've been doing this every day for 295 days, because there was one day which wasn't officially a BBBB show, but I was streaming on. Okay, so I've been doing it 295 days where I took one day off to stream on the UK Games Expo channel. So there was a 10 a.m. stream. And hello, Dutch Yoda, it is lovely to see you. But yeah, I would say that for me, I get what you're saying, that one can feel more like, okay, it's a living room, it's people are looking forward to you and more friends are coming by, whereas one can feel like, okay, it's all these strangers. But for me, I've definitely seen a lot of similar faces, like Mike the Grief on Facebook, or Rita says that Rita's always on Facebook and popping in, and I see every day, like, there's 2 or 3 likes from the same people and a few people jump in. Say if you want to go to the store, lots of love, get yourself to the store. It's all good. It's not a crazy day. Like, I don't need a moderator here. Don't feel like you need to be beholden. Lots of love, and I appreciate you being here. You do definitely make my life so much easier, but do what you need to do. Yeah. And yeah, To those who don't know, Dutch, I think we're talking in 8 days' time. Actually, Dutch, how did you manage to apply to Ravensburger? Because yeah, there was the whole Ravensburger pitching. So for those who don't know, Ravensburger is a big company. It's I'm not going to say what I was just about to say because that's possibly anyway. What I am going to say is that they're best known probably for jigsaw puzzles, also making the game The Amazing Labyrinth, and Scotland Yard. Those are the main games that Ravensburger is known for. Ravensburger hasn't done a lot of loads of board games. Ravensburger is mainly on the puzzle side. But yeah, they had this whole pitching thing where I think it was until the end of Wednesday, something like that, you were allowed to send in applications. Amazing. Congratulations. And so if they liked your pitch, they got back to you and then they said, hey, which of these approximate time slots is good for you? And then you went onto the thing and then you picked a time slot. And I think they've got lots of people all taking pitches simultaneously. So what I'm expecting is that if they like your pitch, then that person will show it to a bunch more people and then they'll go through that process. Like the other pitching people, they'll kind of compare, okay, these are the ones that I actually liked out of everything that I saw. Then they compare, then they show them off to the company. And then if they like it, they'll be kind of getting prototypes and stuff. That's what I'm expecting. And yeah, Labyrinth, totally solid game. Reviewed by myself and Chris some number of episodes ago. Chris loves that game, and I gave it to Chris because I was not playing it enough. Yeah, Ravensburger, well-known company. That's what I'm going to say. Do I have the same feelings towards Patreon? So Patreon is interesting because I noticed recently that you can sort of freeze things, and it also depends how much people are paying. Like with Patreon, with a Twitch subscription, it's a set amount. Twitch subscription means you subscribe for this amount, and it's all about you need to have loads more followers in order to get the money. Whereas with Patreon, I can make it so that someone can subscribe for £1 and get a benefit. And I'm actually going to give a shout out. I do have a Patreon and I do have 3 wonderful supporters. Actually, I don't know if they would want to shout out necessarily. So maybe I shouldn't do a shout out just in case they want to stay anonymous. But yeah, I've got 3 wonderful supporters who are giving me £1, and I froze it this month because one of them messaged me and said, hey, I understand you're doing a lot, and it's only £1 and I'm not going to stop it because I still support you, but you've not done this thing since June, so would you maybe pause it? And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize I could pause it. So that's, anyway, my Patreon is actually to do art that's unrelated to anything. And I might, you know what, next month I might start up one day of the week that's just me drawing. And so it's for me to do, my Patreon is for me to do drawings based on the drawings that was voted the best. And the idea is that it would be human algorithmically generated. And a quick hello, Rob. It is lovely to see you. I hope that you're generally well. Yes, I was talking about that. Have you gotten a pitch to Ravensburger as well? I hope that you're generally well. And yeah, what else was I saying? Oh yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, Patreon. So my Patreon is about, I will draw things and then people will say, okay, that's the thing that I like the best. And then next month I would draw like 10 things based on that one thing that people thought was the best. And so some of them might be very similar to that. Some of them might be mutations of that. And it's kind of like genetic mutation, if you know what I mean, because then you've got one that's deemed the best. And then based on that, you've then got all the wild mutations. And so it might be like one of them, I say, okay, I'm going to do something based on the color scheme. If it's a cat, then I'll say, okay, I'll draw 10 cats in a similar pose and see, yeah, which people prefer. And yeah, it felt like a fun thing for me to do. But then, as with a lot of fun things, when you start, but yeah, with Patreon, I can charge different amounts. I can charge someone just £1. Secondly, with Patreon, I can freeze it. And so that's the difference. And yeah, that's my views on Patreon. Also, Patreon takes a far smaller cut of what you're taking. Although, having said that, again, Twitch is kind of hosting it. Look, I'm not going to be, oh, Twitch is so nice, therefore I need to be giving them 50% of my take. No, Twitch is a big conglomerate, and I'm sure they'll survive without my, Twitch taxism. But yeah, it's a weird one. Anyway, if anyone has any questions or anything that they want to say, just jump in. I would like to. I've been thinking a lot recently about. Oh, sorry. Sounds wild for a patronage. Would I just do Patreon instead of Twitch affiliate programs? I might do. I mean, like if I wanted to monetize it, I mean, it feels like yeah, it feels with Patreon, can you only have one Patreon? Like if you're doing multiple different things, because I still like that idea that I had. 3 people have signed up for it, but they signed up for that particular idea. And yeah, sure, with all these people, I'm 99% certain that the reason they signed up wasn't because of the idea, but it was because it was me. And because they are like, yeah, Bez is a nice person, I want to support Bez, and that's lovely. But I would feel bad about changing that Patreon to say, okay, now it's about this. I would like to, I guess, it could be tied into this to say, okay, I will spend this many shows a month about that. Like, okay, I'm going to spend 3 or 4 mornings a month, or two or more mornings a month doing that. And it will be one of the Thursdays or one of the Mondays, maybe, that I spend most of the stream just doing stuff about that. So I could, but yeah, I guess, I don't know. I just feel like, because my stream is so different. Okay, so like just this last week, right? Just this last week, what have we had? We had a game jam. We finished up a game jam where I was just playing all the games from the game jam. I had people over and we were jamming together. We had chaotic shenanigans. We had a blether with Kathleen Mercury, just interviewing Kathleen Mercury for 3 hours, talking about this amazing person's life. Then I was meeting Mark Hook, an interview with a convention organizer, and then playing a few games on Tuesday evening, as I always do, playing Flea myself, which was spoilerific. I will agree that I assume that's why Xate and other peeps kind of went out. Sorry, that's calling people out, but then getting to know Dina, and today's just a random chat, and so it's a mixture of playing games, and sometimes I'm even playing music. Sometimes not as often as I'd like, and not as well as I'd like, but sometimes I'm doing that. Sometimes I'm discussing stuff with people. Next week, I'm going to be discussing playtesting and meeting people and then mentoring someone. And so it is very much a variety show. Like when someone says, oh, I'm a variety streamer, I play 4 different games, it's like, darling, you don't even know what variety is. Interviews, board game playing, music, Can you? Is that definitely a thing that you can do? Okay, well, maybe I'll investigate that. I remember walking past your stall, says Jamie Ragwort. And yeah, just to close this off, I will investigate that. Thank you for letting me know, Dina. I feel like I need to get the first Patreon kind of to a place where I'm comfortable with it, and then I'll kind of investigate possible monetization. But then I guess what it is with Twitch, it feels like, okay, you're paying this tax, and then you get the emojis and the wee extra things. But that's definitely something I'll investigate. Jamie from Ragworks Games says, I remember walking past your stall at UK Games Expo, obviously pre-COVID. I've only been to one con, says Jamie. It was very red and very interactive. Seemed to be a bunch of people crowded around. What's your approach to doing cons? Is it different to others? Okay, I like this. Proper question. Let me sit down and take a wee drink. Okay, I can't say whether my approach to conventions is always going to be different to someone else's because everyone's doing things in a slightly different way. The first time I ever went to, I had a series up on Board Game Geek website. If you look for stuff by Bez on Board Game Geek, I also have a deleted account that I asked to be deleted because I didn't like the name and it wouldn't do a name change. So I think you can click and then find my deleted account and then find, anyway, convention thoughts or con lessons, I think it was called. Anyway, so what's my approach to conventions? I'm just going to give you my entire history at conventions. 2016, first ever convention as an exhibitor. In a Bind had come out in the middle of 2015, and I was like, yeah, I want to demonstrate this. Had I even been to, I don't think Glasgow Games Festival was a thing back then. So I wanted to go, so I talked to my friends. I was like, okay, will you help me? Daniel Barker came along, Gotcha came along, Miquette, and Stuart Allen, 4 lovely people came along to help me on this tiny stand. I think it was 6 meters squared. It might have even been 4. It was one of the starter stands, and then those starter stands, there's 2 possible sizes. I can't remember which one I went for, but my entire stand was, how am I going to, this is a fun game. I want to show it to as many people as possible. How do I maximize that? I want to have the hustle. I want to have the bustle. Now, going to UK Games Expo, I made a lot of bad choices. I'm going to just go through some of the terrible choices that I made. I had a competition on Twitter where I said, okay, if you type in hashtag, I think it was hashtag UK Games Expo, hashtag in a bind at Stuff by Bez, and then you tweet a picture of someone playing in a bind, then every hour, 1 game will be given away. So my idea, the way I expected this to work was that I expected people to be like, oh, I didn't win last hour. Well, I'll try again this hour. And then if people clicked on the UK Games Expo hashtag, which everyone's clicking on to see what's happening at UK Games Expo, then hopefully there would be loads and loads of photos of In a Bind. That didn't quite work out the way that I was hoping. There were so many hours where someone just won by default, where I said, hey, if you take a photo of your partner playing this game, hey, that's a person that you know are happy or if you want to take a photo of someone else playing, you can take a photo of one of my volunteers. My volunteers are all happy to be photographed. Take a photo of one of them, put it on to the social media, and you will probably win a game. And people are like, oh, I don't know. And people would rather pay, I can't remember how much, I think it was £9 back then. It was £9 for one and £7 for £8 for the expansion, and something like £16, £15 for both. I can't remember. But people just wanted to pay the money. They didn't want to even do the Twitch thing, which astonished me. And I guess that's the real lesson and a reminder that people are so different to me. Because if it was me, if it was like, whoa, I get a free game, this looks like a good game, I can just tweet about it. Yeah, darn straight, I'm going to do that. But then so many people were like, no, I just want to pay the money. I want to have an easy life. I don't want to come back to this stand. I don't want to have to come back in an hour to collect my game. I want to get my game right now. And I'm glad that a few people were buying it. But what I went with hundreds of copies of this game, hoping that it would. It wasn't quite the massive success that I thought it was. I also did a lot of. So I had wee flyers that, yeah, we were allowed to put in certain locations. Although I think that that was 4 years ago. Now, if you do it at UK Games Expo, I don't think I would have been allowed to do it at that point. So I'm glad that it's interesting to you. And what else did I? Yeah, that was pretty much it. It's just so it was basically just the four of us. Oh yeah, and what else? Every day we had a whiteboard, right? So it was like, okay, you can try the solo challenge, and at the end of every day, someone would win a prize, and it was the person who'd managed to do the most binds in one go. And every day it was won by someone who'd managed to do like 20 or 22 or something crazy like that. And that was good. I think people enjoy showing off, even if there isn't a prize. And that's definitely an interesting thing. Again, the reminder that it's people are unlike me. I mean, for me, yes, I am. I'm going to be honest. I am very much motivated by a prize. I'm very much. If someone says, "Hey, you can sign up to my mailing list, and I will donate $1 to this charity," I'm like, "Yeah, I am going to sign up to your mailing list. I have no interest in your thing, and once you send me that one-time email, I'm just going to ignore it. But if that's your marketing method, yes, I'm going to sign up, and I'm going to even encourage my friends to sign up. And yeah, I'm obviously doing a wee bit of your marketing for you by sharing this link about your new game. But it's, and then I kind of feel like, okay, this time that I've spent signing up, and that time is worth £1 to do that. And yeah, Dina did that as well. I assume you mean the signing up and telling friends about it. And so, but then when you've, or yeah, I assume that's what you're talking about. It's like you got your friends to sign up to that email list that we, and yeah, okay, so, but there was, anyway, so there was this big leaderboard every day. On the final day, it was going to end, I think we said 4 p.m. There wasn't any point in saying UK time, but it was 4 p.m. because local time, the convention closes at 5 p.m. We need an hour for the person to find out who won, come over, and for us to give them their prize. And then hopefully some people who did not win it would be like, oh, you know what? I didn't win it, but I really want to get it, so I'm just going to buy it. What I noticed is like so many people want to head away from the convention. Some people want to go early. Some people want to just don't want to be there on the Sunday. Some people, and so I was assuming too much of people. I was trying to make a thing and then get people to fit their time around these competitions and challenges that I had created. Whereas I started to realize that what I really need to do is to make it, yeah, you can do this anytime. And as time has gone on, I have realized how little that freebie actually matters. So, another story time, okay? I went to Essen. When was my first Essen? Was it 2017? Was it really that late? Let me see. Last year, 2020, there was no Essen. Year before, I was at Essen 2019 in the booth with Jason with Ali Cat's Games. Year before, I want to say I was with Robert, for Elements. That was 2018. Yeah, I think. No, I was there 2 years with Robert. Was I there with Robert for 2 years or 1 year? Yeah, I'm struggling to remember. Oh, no, I think 2016 was my first UK Games Expo. This is what it is. 2015, I was meant to go, sorry, 2016 was my first Essen. 2015, I was meant to go, but I didn't get to go because of personal issues. Dave Cousins, amazing person, most lovely person in the world. And I owe so much to Dave Cousins. I would not be a board game designer today if it were not for Dave Cousins. North and South Games. Check them out. I'm actually going to paste North and South if I can get it. I'll just try and very quickly North and South Games. But yeah, Dave Cousins is amazing. Dave Cousins was the person who first introduced me to Gigamic, who oh, there we go. Yeah, and so definitely check out Dave Cousins on the link that I am just pasting now. So, yeah, what was I saying? Dave Cousins took a few hundred of my games to Essen, sold a couple of hundred. Dave did a really good job, and then I was like, okay, great, I will go again next year. And I went in 2016. I finally got to go myself. It was very much again, when I went to Essen for the first time in 2016, I was disappointed. It wasn't that busy. I felt like the number of people walking past, it feels very similar to UK Games Expo if you're in one of the smaller halls. I feel like, sure, the total number of people is much, much bigger at Essen, and don't get me wrong, if you're in Hall 3, if you're in Hall 1, it's going to be more jam-packed. But UK Games Expo, how many people actually walk past the front of my stall versus Essen, how many people walk past the front of my stall? I'm going to say it's actually fairly similar. So, 2017, I was there with Robert Kunzman. I had just Yogi was just coming out. I had some freebies. I had some stickers. I had some things to give away. I was thinking, okay, how can I do something cool? Let's say draw a cat, get a freebie. Okay, people can jump in and draw a cat whenever they want. Okay, what if there's too many people wanting to draw a cat? And in my mind, I had this kind of idea for a queue system. And okay, if there's too many people, because we'll just have one table for the drawing table, and then I'll have like 2 tables for playing on. But if someone wants to draw a cat, then they'll have to wait. And yeah, imagine if Dina had gone to UK Games to Essen 2016 with David Bradshaw. I don't know that person, but yeah, that would have been quite cool. But anyway, so I had draw a cat, get a freebie, and then people said, "Oh, what's this?" And I started off my pitch by, "Möchtest du eine Katze benutzen?" No, benutzen means to draw a card. What's to draw? I knew it's at the time. It was like something. It was something that I kept saying over and over. Anyway, so lots of people were into drawing the cats, and then like there were some names that, oh, cool, Tim Fowers is coming over to draw a cat, and hey, Eric Martin is coming over to draw a cat. That's pretty cool. And there's like cats on the cat gallery from all these people. Oh yeah. So that was really fun. And then so many people were just enjoying it. And then I started running out of freebies. And I was like, you know what, are people doing this for the freebies? And I can still give them freebies, but maybe I don't have to advertise the freebies. And taking away the freebie, I think moving towards giving away less stuff and focusing more on the environment that you create more and more has been the shift of my focus. Like, okay, let me just go into that a wee bit. So the rest of Essen, on the first day, I took down that sign. I put up another sign that just said, draw a cat. And it was just, oh, what is this, draw a cat? And I said, well, if you want to draw a cat, you can draw a cat. And there's like 100 cats on the wall. At that point, someone's like, oh, can I draw a cat for the wall? And there's lots of wee kids that are like, oh, can I draw a cat for the wall, please? And then sure, you can draw a cat for the wall. And that cat wall was there to celebrate the Kickstarter for Kitty Cataclysm, which didn't come until a while later, and then the release of Kitty Cataclysm, which was much delayed and didn't come until 2019, so it was probably not that great marketing. But hey ho, people sometimes remember the cat's wall. And yeah, it's more and more people engage in the cat wall. And at Aircon, I remember that I took that to Glasgow Games Festival, and I took it to Aircon, and then I took it to the other Aircon, and I took it to Kent, and people end up, gazing at it and wandering around. And it got to a point where I was only I was I was just putting wee bits up on the walls because I couldn't fit everything up. And I think it was UK Games Expo 2019. Yeah, actually, the last ever UK Games Expo. Hopefully, there will be another one. But yeah, the last so far, our most recent UK Games Expo, that I had, I ended the show with about definitely, I want to say, about 2,000 cats on the wall. I'm not exaggerating. It was somewhere between 15 and 2000, and there's a lot of cats that people had drawn. It was, wow, it took a long time to put them up. And then we got a few hundred, and then I ran out of little cards, so I got some more cards of some other people. And wow, that was, it was an epic time. It was good times. But there was no prize associated with it. It was just, there was a table. There was a table. I was paying for this space, for this table where people weren't playing games. It was just, okay, 3 chairs on this side, 3 chairs on this side. You sit down and you draw the cats. And I remember it's about giving people something fun to do. And sure, if I wanted to be mercenary about it, I would say that it gives people a reason to stick at the stand, even if they aren't that into any of the games. And if they are into some of the games, then they can stick around longer and engage in another way. And maybe the crossover of people who want to draw a cat and the people who want to buy Kitty Cataclysm might be, there might be a bit of crossover in that Venn diagram. If I were to be mercenary about it, that's what I'd say. If I were to be mercenary about it, I'd also probably say that I'm not even sure if it was great marketing because, yeah, people remember it, but it was expensive to get that wall up. It was expensive to get that space because all that space that those people were playing on, and there were loads of times when the stand was busy, when the stand was full, and other people had to wait to play Kitty Cataclysm. Oh, can I play this? No, you can't. You have to wait for these people to leave their table, but hey, it's only going to be about 5 minutes. And some people would wait, some people wouldn't. If I had had a second table for people, I think that UK Games Expo had like something like 5, 6 tables at the start. Like if I had an extra table, it would have helped for sure. But then there's also the elements of feeling busy, having a bit of room. And on the final day, on the Sunday, I listened to my volunteers. I just want to address what Rob's saying. Rob's tends to be demotivated by prizes. Definitely a good call to just make it about the fun. And yeah, it's like, if I'm like, yay, draw a cat, and one person who drew a cat gets a bundle, then yeah, people might be drawn to draw a cat, but then what kinds of cats am I going to get? I'm going to get basically the minimum viable cat. I'm not going to get any of the joyous cats where people are like, oh, you know what? I really want to spend a bit of time drawing a cat. I'm going to draw a mercat, which is like a mermaid, but with a cat half instead of, so it's a cat and a fish. Or like people end up, doing really nice drawings of the cats from Shira from like Thundercats, and yes, some incredible artwork that ended up on that wall, and it was so gratifying to see. Let me actually tell you the other story of what I do. So like yeah, I want to have something interactive that people, and I do like the idea of having something up on the wall. Maybe next, and hello, Joanne. I'm just talking about UK Games Expo conventions. I've been asked about my approach at conventions, so I'm just going into the history of what I've done selling games and demonstrating games back in the before times when we managed to get together with conventions. But it's lovely to see you, Joanne, and I hope that you're generally well. So yeah, I was drawing a cat, eh? I feel like people enjoyed that, and I would like if it was 2020, if I did go to if 2022, let's say UK Games Expo happens, then maybe with Dice and Ink, Flowers Over Towers, or I might have a some sort of roll and write or some sort of roll and draw game where, okay, at the end, if you want to stick your things up on the wall, you can stick your things up on the wall. Something where people create art, but we don't have to start spending 20 person hours. Like literally, it was about when you multiplied the time spent by the number of people, and Sate can attest to this. Sate spent a lot of effort in 2019 putting cats up on a wall, but not as much as a lot of people. I think there were like 8 of us all doing it. So it was just a ridiculous amount of time that we spent putting all these cat pictures up on the wall. But we'll start off with, okay, here's a table, and then maybe you play this game. Maybe the game is, I don't know, Draw and Spell, which is my flip and write area control word game, which is it's by me, although Sebastian Bleasdale did contribute quite a bit to it. And you're kind of drawing words. The words need to go horizontally. You put in letters, a letter at a time, and then you finish up with something. And then you've got all the colored marker pens. You need a color per person. And then maybe, yeah, exactly. Everyone at the end was like, yeah, please do not do that. But during the show, people who were just the punters loved it. That's the thing. But then if I was like, okay, here's a big sheet of paper, and okay, we're cutting out, instead of just tiny cards, it's, A5. Yeah, A5. So we've got little sheets, and not this, but starts up with some posters, and then as people are putting more and more of their flip and spell games up, and then post a photo of that wall. It was on the Aircon thing. I would love that. I imagine what I'm not sure what you mean, Dina, because of the typo. I'd steer. There are photos of the wall on my Instagram if you go back far enough. Stop just for the wall. Yeah. So yeah, like at Aircon, so many people, and at Aircon it was really interesting because at Aircon, my table was here, and then Mark Cook allowed me to kind of take over the entire wall. But again, this wall meant that I had to set up a day earlier than anyone else. It was myself, Tom Cauldron, like there were basically 3 or 4 of us who really put a good show of spending a day putting cats up. And yeah, that's why I think having a wall and sticking things up to it, I can see a benefit. But I think that if I had gone in 2020, it would have just been banners, no wall at all. Yeah. I wanted to also talk about my 2 p.m. events. So 2 p.m. events, what's all that about? Now, 2 p.m. events, I started going off to a convention called Uncon. So Uncon, this is a tiny thing in Kent, and they've got a board game convention where in Kent they talk about, it's Darius Twyman, and there was a weekly game group, I believe, and Darius was like, hey, let's have a convention. And okay, I've done it once. Let me maybe invite some publishers from further afield. So I went there with a bunch of other people, and I again had the cat wall. I was like, okay, I want to do an event. What time should this event be? And then I had a ponder, and I was like, okay, I've had little competitions in the past, but let's say it's at a certain time. Let's say it's 2 p.m. Okay, 2 p.m. That seems good because 2 p.m. it's after lunch. People have had lunch, and 2 p.m. that means that it's still in the kind of busy period. And during that busy period, if I need to grab people from the crowd, I can grab people from the crowd. And yeah, So at Uncon, it was, again, small convention, 100 to 200 people. I had Giants in a bind. Both days, people playing it. Second day, it was like 12 people playing it. So it was basically like 10% of the conventions goers were at my stand. And that was crazy. And then when I said to Fabio, and I said, oh, I was a bit disappointed by sometimes it was a bit quiet. But like then Fabio was, but how many people were at this convention? You got 10% of the people at the convention to be at your stand at one time. Stop complaining. And I think that's the thing. Like, you can have some things that people go and make a time for and say, okay, I'm going to stop at 2 p.m. It's Bez's thing. And people will come by. And that's where that started. And then I will answer your questions in just a moment, Joanne. I want to finish talking about this 2 p.m. event. So I went through this 2 p.m. event thing, became a thing. So from Uncon to UK Games Expo, it worked well, to Essen, to Glasgow Games Festival. People would pop over. It's like, okay, 2 p.m. every day, make a big banner. Tell people 2 p.m. there's a there's something. And then what I would do would be, okay, the winner gets all my stuff. And I think this was when Yogi had come out. So it was like, okay, you get In a Bind and In a Bind Junior and In a Bind the expansions and Yogi, congratulations. And that was like a nice prize. And people are like, whoa, I get these games, awesome. And then I came out with, well, Wibble Plus Plus, as it was known back then, had just come out. And I need to plug in my laptop. Sorry, just give me a second so I can plug this in. And then I brought out Kitty Cataclysm and Wibble Plus Plus Deluxe. And Yogi Guru came out. And there was the personality cards. So it became the case that at Essen 2019, Essen 2019, I had this competition. First place was going to win everything. Second place was going to win nothing. And we played categorical. Back then, the rules were slightly different. In the current rules, you flip. You flip, cover, clap. So you flip the card so that the other person can see the new letter. You cover the old letter so it's clear which one we're playing as, and then you clap. Clap. You're not allowed to shout out yourself until you've clapped. Back then, the rule was slap, so you slap the table. Now, slapping, it can intimidate the other person. I had not really realized this, but this was someone who, on Saturday, they came, they tried to win, they didn't quite win. On Sunday, they came back and they were out for blood. They were so competitive. When they were slapping the table, it was really a boom. It was like, and then the other person, you could almost see them receding. And I really failed everyone at that point. I failed everyone who was at my stand. Like, I failed myself. I wasn't facilitating a good time. I failed, the person who came second. I failed the person who came first because, I was incentivizing this sort of behavior. And that's just not good. And so then straight away after this, what I did at Glasgow Games Festival, Aircon, it was really flatten the price structure and make it so that, I don't need to give everything away. It's like, okay, first prize, you get 2 things. Second prize, you get a thing. And maybe fourth prize also gets a thing. But they get a thing that hasn't already been chosen by the first, second, or third. And that works so much better. Okay, first place. And then when it was like that, then suddenly the entire attitude shifted. Yes, it was a big competition. Yes, stuff was being given away. But you could see at the end of Glasgow Games Festival, someone was like, would you mind if I had that one thing? Because that's the one thing I've got. And then the person who came first was like, okay, I'll trade it with you. It's all good. And it was more camaraderie. People were more about the game. People were clapping each other. People were congratulating each other. And I think that if you do give a prize, you can't think about what you're incentivizing. It's event design is kind of like game design. You are incentivizing certain behaviors because if you're making a competition, people will want to win. Now, the greater the prize, the more people will want to win. And so if the prize was $1 billion, let's say, well, people are quite likely to cheat. People are quite likely to engage in unscrupulous behavior, maybe even intentionally destroying someone else's mood for that much money. But if it's, oh, well, you get another game that's going to be worth, yeah, like to be fair, the Dice and Ink is worth £35, but if it's a lower price, then as opposed to the prize that I was giving at Essen, which was like up to £150 worth of stuff, then yeah, you've got to think about how much you're incentivizing things, how much your incentives might end up with people overriding the normal social behavior. And yeah, sometimes bragging rights is actually the biggest thing of all. Sometimes having a little bit that says you are the champion. And I know that at the last ever in a bind convention, last ever in a bind world championship, which was 2017, I want to say. Emma from Croydon was the winner, and everyone was really trying to win. But I am happy to give away a game. I don't think that changes it too much, but you don't want to give away too much. Just to catch Joanne up, yeah, if you want to learn to draw cats better, just look at a photo, just draw cats over and over. Just keep drawing cats, and eventually you'll get good by doing it over and over. But yeah, ponder your cats. Ponder like, okay, why does this not work? Why does this work? And yeah, draw some cats. If you want to draw some cats and share it. Why not? Do people test games at these events? Yes, at conventions, there is normally a playtest zone where you can test unfinished games. If you mean, do people try out games as opposed to, I mean, test is a strange word because people talk, oh, I'll take this car for a test drive to see how I feel. And some people do say, I'm playtesting this game to just mean I'm playing it to see whether I like it or not. But yeah, just for clarity, because playtesting does mean playing it with the purpose of gaining information so that the designer can then make changes and make the game better. I thought maybe I would enjoy seeing you draw cats on stream. Not today, but if you want to, you know what's it? I've got to Patreon. It is currently frozen. So if you want to join my Patreon, I will definitely draw cats on stream. If I get, should I do a Patreon? Should I shout out to my Patreon? Let me try and find my Patreon. And if you want me to draw cats on stream, I've frozen it and I'm not going to unfreeze it until I actually do the thing. Where is my page? View page. Why can't I see my page? View my public. Okay. Let me know if this works. I do have to. Yeah, I'm not saying that you have to join my Patreon. I'm just saying that if you want to give me £1 a month to draw lots of pictures on stream, then would be nice to see. Rob says, draw a circle, draw another circle, draw the rest of the cats. Actually works okay for drawing cats. That is totally true. Like, starts off seeing things as solid shapes, like for all these letter shapes, kind of, even for decay, I'm kind of seeing them as a slightly rotated, and ignore the shading of AEINORS, because I realize that the shading for these should really be on the bottom left. But I think I worked out what kind of shading I'm happy with these anyway. But lots of love to everyone. So back to the question of I'll address Joanne's question and then I'll go back to the original question. So Joanne's question, can you try games at conventions? Yes, you can. Most publishers will be happy to say, yes, please try this game. It might not be the full game if it's a very long game. Like if it's a game that takes an hour, then it might be, okay, sit down and try a couple of turns. It depends on the publisher. It depends on how much space they have. If it's a smaller publisher, for example, myself, if you want to try couple, I would say, yes, you can try a couple, but I will skip the first 70% of the game for you, so you'll just play the last wee bit. And because the scoring system at the end is so impactful, I want you to understand that. I want you to have a few turns left, and that, whereas if it's, okay, Grabble, that takes like 3 minutes, including instructions. Yeah, you can play that. Wibble, we just keep that game going constantly. And Kitty Cataclysm, well, that's not a very long game. That's normally like 5 minutes. Sometimes we even let a person, if there's no one else waiting, then we let someone play another game if they want. But yeah, I would not let someone play a 40-minute game personally, even at a convention. I would be like, yeah, here's a 20-minute demo. That's normally what I like. And as a punter, I prefer that as well. I don't want to start playing a game and be like, oh, do I like that game? Do I not? I want to be able to try a few turns and be like, oh, I quite enjoy this game. Thank you very much. Or, oh, I don't like this game. Thank you very much. Either way. After these times, I would have to sanitize everything that people touch. That would be a lot of work. Yeah, we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm not going to focus on it right now. Let me go back to the question. Oh, so Dina, I missed out. David Brashaw is from Backspindle Games, did Kodincha and a Discworld game about going postal. Clacks, possibly. And then, where was Jamie's original question? So Jamie's original question was, what's my approach to doing conventions? My approach to doing conventions, okay? Firstly, if someone wants to buy something, then I want to make it easy for them. I want them to know that the possibility exists. And I've done a better job recently since I went to Tabletop Scotland, and I think it was Matt really helped me. Having a nicer kind of, okay, here's one table for a display, having this properly set aside, because now that I've got the space, and I think it's important to have that one table to show off all the games in a nice way. And then at Essen, maybe I have like, okay, one table for the shop, one table for playing games on. And then if some more people want to play games, then, well, I can explain to them Kitty Cataclysm on the very front of that shop table, because I can show a few example cards, and Wibble, I can even show it on my hands, literally in the middle of the corridor. And yeah, that's you have to make it so that if people want to buy something, then they know that it can be bought. At the same time, I don't want to be like doing a hard sell. No one wants to be doing a hard sell. It's not like, oh, come here and maybe buy the game. Oh, come here and, hey, remember this. Sure, at the end of it, tell people, oh, this is how much it is. And maybe say, oh, you can buy the deluxe deck for 20 quid, or if you want to buy the top box version, that's only 10 quid for this week. You can do something like that. Just remind them. But ultimately, I guess, actually, I'm going to try and find... I wrote down a convention thing for volunteers. For a volunteer coming and helping me at a convention, I would always send them the games as early as possible in advance, maybe 2-3 months in advance. And if someone's thinking about joining the convention and I think that they're serious, but in the end it turns out that they can't because life got in the way, well, that's fine. They got a wee free game. As long as people aren't abusing that, it's okay. That's not been abused so far. But then people come over, they've played this game, they've played it with other people, they know that game well. For me, that's a key thing. When someone's giving a demo at a convention, you need to know the game well. So many times you can go over to a person at, I'm not going to name the bigger companies, but you know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. The companies where people have to learn so many games, the companies where people have sometimes games that they only get on the first day of the convention and then they need to rush to learn it. That's not cool. Like, even if your game hasn't been produced, at least send out the rules ahead of time. Get them a video, show them this is how I want it to be demoed. And so I want these people to understand these games. I want these people to love these games and then come back and be like, okay, now I can share that love with other people. When I'm having people at my stand, the people at my stand broadly, last time I was there, and thank you, Rob, this is really kind of you to say. Rob says, it looks like I really nailed it. Busy and fun. Demo, participation tables with a pile of stock and someone available nearby. Friendly and enthusiastic helpers. Big, bright, bold red that you can see from the other side of the aisle. Thank you very much. And Joanne, I hope that everyone gets to go to conventions very soon. And I hope that one day in the near future, we are all immunized against this and but we will probably have to take measures going forwards, like maybe having a bit of hand sanitizer at the table, even if everyone's being vaccinated. What's going to be the next pandemic? Because there will be a future one. And so let's just have some hand sanitizer. Say, before you play the game, before you touch the components, can you just use a wee dab of hand sanitizer, please? And then get probably one of the volunteers to sprinkle it onto their hands. So my helpers, I think there were 3 responsibilities that they could have, and people were allowed to move between these 3 responsibilities. They didn't have to do just one. So one responsibility was the seller. The seller would be behind the table with all the stock, and they would just be there to take money and give the games. That was all they did. And they would have to be able to do quick 20-second pitches. The day before, when I go to an Airbnb at UK Games Expo, I was at an Airbnb with everyone. Like, there were, I think, 9 of us staying at that Airbnb, I want to say. Anyway, so the 9 of us, we all chatted beforehand. There were also a couple of people who were helping me who were not part of that Airbnb, but I had a big meal the evening before, a big meal afterwards. So if you came the day before or if you stayed that evening, then you would be part of, a fun meal which was, okay, let me buy some drinks. Everyone gets basically one drink and a main and a starter. And yeah, I'll buy some extra tapas for the table. And yeah, you get, I like to eat. And so if you want to eat like I eat, then it was a good times. But, oh man, I missed that. It was like good for bringing people together to say, I really value as volunteers. Now, and Joanne, if you want to jump on and show us your cat, you are totally allowed to. But if you want to just pick up your cat, that is also totally fair. Anyway, so one person had to do these short 20-second pitches, and I would ask them beforehand, okay, how would you demo this? Okay, how would you explain this? How would you explain this? And if they couldn't explain that game in 20 seconds, I would ask them to do it again or give them some feedback or kind of until that person could confidently do it going into Friday. And after an hour or so, you start off maybe a little bit shaky, but you're polished, and then you're like, okay, Kitty Cataclysm, what's that about? Well, it's crazy, chaotic, it's cat puns, and it's just a good time. And hitting those few, I'm so out of practice. I really should have said something about how mean it is, and it lets you get your claws out or something like that. So 1 is the shopkeeper, 2 is the demonstrator, and the demonstrators should be doing a specific game. I want each demonstrator to be doing a specific game. I know that there's many games for the L deck, but I want each demonstrator to be doing something specific. I want to say, okay, you do categorical, you do grabble, you do wibble, you do kitty cataclysm, and I think that's all we did on. And then that was that. And so third was the kind of we never came up with a good name for this, but it's kind of like the friendly first point of contact. So like someone whose job it is, if anyone's peering at a game, so like let's say 5 people are playing Wibble, and then someone comes up in the aisle and then they look back and then they're interested, then someone should be there to say, oh, would you like me to explain the rules of Wibble? And if someone's coming by, just to say, hey, would you like a sticker? Just to hand out stickers, to have that first sort of hello. And yeah, it's all good, Jamie. Don't worry. And yeah, Jamie says, very interesting con summary. What I found interesting is that your branding was so clear that although I didn't see me in particular standing at the store, I could somehow tell that the stall was from that person from the Big Cock Facebook group. And I really need these glasses sorted. They are painful on my ears. I'm going to take them off. Will you drink? Sorry. For me, even though this sounds boring, having to demo the same game over and over, I think that this sort of specializing is good for people. And saying, okay, you did this for half of today. Hey, if you want a break, if you want to change it up, you can tomorrow do a different game. Or if people want to swap, but I first need to, when people start on the Thursday, because for those who don't know, UK Games Expo is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. On the Thursday, I would be asking before that, a month in advance, I would say to people, and hello, Tonga lad, lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. I'm just talking about my approach to conventions. So a month or so before, I would send out this survey saying, which games are you comfortable demonstrating right now? Which of these games do you actually enjoy? Which of these roles would you feel comfortable doing? If you're the shopkeeper, do you feel comfortable doing impromptu singing? Because what was it? If someone, you gave me the exact change, and although this may be strange, now is your chance to see me do a song and dance. Ooh. And then it would basically all our prices would be £12.50, £17.50 specifically. So that's if someone had the 50 pence, then it would be like, boom, you get to a little thing. But yeah, beforehand, thinking about what do my volunteers want to do? What do they enjoy? What will they enjoy? What will they have fun with? What are they willing to take? And is that Ian from is from Scotland who I saw at, who is it Ian who's quite often on Facebook, who's Settlers Hamilton, who demonstrates for Asmodee? Are you that Ian? But if it's that Ian, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would like to do what Asmodee does. I would like to have the pockets to say, yes, everyone working for me gets some amount of money at a convention. And, well, hello, Ian. It's lovely to see you on Twitch. Thank you for joining us here. And I guess what I'm getting at is I don't have massive pockets. I don't have massive resources, and so I can't afford to pay so many people to be like, yeah, here's an hourly wage. What I can do is say, you know what, if I were going to go to UK Games Expo, I might not want to have the hassle of working out where to stay. So here's a place that you can stay at. I've booked out rooms for so many people to stay. Just join us. That's taken care of. We've got food at the stand. Boom, that's taken care of. We've got breakfast at the Airbnb. Great. I mean, it's not a great breakfast, but you can join me in eating cheese or toast or jam or whatever. And I feel like I should probably do okay, here's some sort of thing. If people want to, and with some people, it was like, yeah, if you need help with the transportation costs, I will help with that. But, I can't afford to do here's an hourly wage, and maybe one day I can. So what it is instead it's kind of like, okay, what games do you want to demonstrate? And you will be demonstrating those. What roles do you want to do? And in a way, that enthusiasm, I think, comes across. I think you have to. I am, again, quite privileged because I've been at it full time for. Let's look at UK Games Expo 2019, which I think was the best convention I ever did, in terms of from a business point of view, from a vibrancy point of view. It was at a point where it was kind of running itself, where everyone was really enthusiastic, where at the end of Saturday, I had all these people saying, hey, Bez, you're doing well, but I think you should be being a little bit more ruthless, making some changes. And I've got a proposition. And at the end of every day, I have a, hey, everyone, what did you enjoy? What did you not like? And one tip for Bez. That's what I always try to do at the end. It's not a compulsory meeting. It's just at the end of every day. What's one thing you enjoyed about today from a personal point of view? What's one thing you didn't like? So maybe I learned to make things better for you, think in my own mind. And thirdly, what's one tip for Bez? Like one tip that you think, hey, Bez, you should do this. And then on Saturday evening, like someone was like, and I could see that people were feeling really invested in my success, which was amazing. And like Nick Humberston and Fi saying, okay, what if, this is kind of crazy, but what if you take away a table? Just, okay, you've got 6 tables. Occasionally one of them is free. Just take away one of them. Get rid of it. And also the cat drawing, move it from there to there. So people have to walk past the shop to get to the cat drawing. And then, like, was kind of, yeah, you need that balance. You want to be able to facilitate good times. You want to be able to have all of the people involved. You want to be able to be the nicest possible version of yourself, but at some point you do need to be a little bit like, yeah, by the way, remember, you can, if you are enjoying this, if you do have the money, then please give me some money and you will go away with one of these games. And yeah, I guess that's my approach to conventions. I see conventions as having 2 reasons for me from a business point of view. And possibly a third one would have been there if it were 2020. In 2020, I would have had meetings with the biggest board game companies around, because I was lucky enough in Nuremberg and Cannes to generate contacts, which was amazing. And then someone saying, hey, you know what, I'm away to back to America, but if you want to make a meeting, you can give me. And yeah, it was crazy. And for sure, getting business meetings. I know that there are some people who say when we go to a convention, we don't even care how many we sell. It's all about showing a good time, showing our partners that our games are facilitating good times, and then reaching out to partners. Because when it's so the 3 reasons for me, okay, what are the business reasons for me to go to a convention? Firstly, to facilitate good times. Okay, I like that as a human. I like to facilitate good times. Secondly, yeah, to sell copies. Thirdly, to sell copies to raise awareness, not because of the money made, but to raise awareness, which might sell future copies. Fourth, you might be thinking maybe it's about reaching to partners, reaching to distributors, reaching to publishers that you might want to partner up with. And yeah, running events is another way to gain awareness and all this stuff. And at UK Games Expo, cat photo on my Instagram you can show everyone says, Joanne, cool, I will do that. But I guess that is the end of that question. And so, yeah, if you want to ask anything else, then feel free to. If you want to jump on, feel free to. Otherwise, that is pretty much the end of my stream. That feels like a pretty solid thing. And getting back to the start of, should I be Twitch affiliate? One good thing about not streaming on YouTube and just popping it up after the fact would be like, now I could say in the stream, I talked a lot about my convention approach. I didn't know that I was going to talk about conventions. I didn't know that Jamie was going to pop in that question. But if I did the button to kind of move it over, then that would potentially be a thing. But yeah, it is. So that's Joanne's cat. There we go. Very pretty cat. And thank you for sharing. But yeah, she is hard to draw because of her markings. I find the mask is hard to do. If you want to, you could start off drawing and just drawing the form of the cat, just ignoring the markings entirely and see how he gets on. Or you could just focus on, focus on the form first and then focus on the markings afterwards. I don't know. But that's a lovely photo. Now that is, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to start allowing myself to wrap up early if I want, even though back in the day I would say this is a long stream. And so, yeah, I'll just get, oh, I'm glad that it works for you. If anyone else has any questions, then you can chime in. Otherwise, what have I been talking about today? Today, I talked about Senso. I really like Senso. My city, I'm enjoying that. I talked about running and typography, my drawings, and pitching to Ravensburger. I talked about running around. We mentioned, people needing to go to the shops. Then, yeah, we started talking about conventions and my approach at conventions. And that was pretty much the entire show where I just talked about how I started at 2016. So yeah, the 2 p.m. thing, where it's something that people come to and yeah, there's a game given away, but it's sort of also, okay, during this 2 p.m. event, it's not just playing the game as usual. There's going to be some little twist. Like, okay, during a normal demo, maybe I will demonstrate Yogi, but during the 2 p.m. event, well, we're going to bring in Yogi Guru for the semi-finals, and then for the finals, we're going to bring in all the wild cards, and then all the people who've been hanging around who have been knocked out will get to make up the things for those two finalists. And yeah, I can't think of anything else, but that's been lovely chat. Thank you, everyone. Yep, if you want to check me out, stuffbybez.com, stuffbybez.bighearts.com, twitter.com/stuffbybez, instagram.com/stuffbybez, twitch.tv/stuffbybez, youtube.com/stuffbybez, stuffbybez.com/discord if you want to join the Discord. And someone please tell me if this link works. You don't need to pay anything. I'm genuinely not asking for that. Just I want to know if this link works. And for my Patreon that I'm posting in the comments. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jamie, for the question. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Claire Llewellyn. Thank you, Rob, Xate, everyone, Dina, who's been popping in with all the amazing chat. It's been so good seeing you all. That is... thank you very much, Rob. I wasn't quite sure, so it shows my thing. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so... Yep. Now, the final section that I like to ask is... Over to you. What are you up to? You can share anything you want to. So is there anything you're looking forward to? Is there an hope or an ambition that you have? Or is there something exciting or boring or super important and serious or fun and frivolous? Whatever it is. I am going to be... What am I up to? I'm going to be having a meal. Some sort of breakfast, lunchy thing in a few minutes. I'm going to be possibly pondering which cards I'm best off showing Ravensburger to kind of demonstrate strange animal noises to them. I'll be... It's a Zoom link. Can I join the Zoom link from my phone? That's the question. I just realised. I might... Oh, darn. I might have to... Do I have to download the Zoom application and then click the Zoom link email for my phone? How would I get that to work? And join it as a separate person? Because otherwise, unless I've got... Yeah, normally on StreamYard, I've got that up, but I'm just trying to work out how I can get this. I can download Zoom on the phone. Okay, great. But yeah, I've got the meeting with Ravensburger today. I've got my meeting with Chris later this afternoon. My sibling is cooking chicken tonight. We might play more My City. Yeah, we might get to finish episode 18. And what else? That's quite a bit to be getting on with. It's quite a bit of personal life. And so, yeah. Rob is planning to do some game design work for the afternoon. Might tinker with some artwork too. Oh, that sounds fun. And thank you very much for the Ravensburger. Joanne has to learn some new tech. Well, all the best with that. I hope it goes well. What tech is it that you're learning? I mean, I'm going to have to work out how to... Yeah, can I do Zoom simultaneously from here and from my laptop and then have the Zoom thing going? Would that work? I might ask them. Hey, and Dutch Yoda is playing Valheim later today on PC, prepping for the meeting with Ravensburger for tomorrow, and also my streams for the weekend. Nice. Music interface. Cool. Yeah, music can be so techy. Especially when you get into the looping, and then you've got to have your own PA system, and it's just like a wee loop thing, and then it seems like you have all the wires, and then it can be so... I wish there was one with like an all-in-one speaker and things, but like separates makes sense. Anyway, that is what some people are up to. Whatever you're up to, whether you're watching now, whether you're engaging, whether you're just lurking, whether you're watching after the fact, I hope you have a tip-top, wonderful, brilliant day. Lots of love. Thank you very much for being here. And let us read... Oh, Tabletopia, Posthuman, Richard Thornton, or Erin Shea, or Harley Hutchinson. Let's read Richard Thornton because we've not been to Richard Thornton yet. So, read Richard Thornton. And I need to make a shorter raid message after... Oops. Didn't mean to do that just yesterday. Just already... But yeah, after yesterday... I do need to make a shorter raid message, but if you want to copy paste some or all of that, feel free to do so. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been lovely. And that is the end of the show. Next streams, look at stuffbybez.com/streams. Oh yes, I need to do all this stuff. Tomorrow, meeting Anna Vastenberg from the Dice Tower and Budget Spellin. Netherlands-based reviewer. Yoda knows them well, I believe. Come here, let's talk about reviews and stuff and what the Dice Tower group is all about. Sunday, I will be reviewing a whole bunch of games from Board Game Arena. Join in. There will be some sorts of chat. Yeah, on Monday, I will be having an in-depth discussion of Board Game Arena with Ian. I'm really excited about that. Remember, I hope that the double lines has helped Joanne, but and thank you very much for that idea the other day. But Monday, I am so excited about that. Remember, if it says discussing, that's an in-depth discussion. I'm not going to be spending so long about on the sillier stuff. Discussing playtesting on Tuesday. Playing Balanceable, a tricky word game on Tuesday night. You can jump in. Meeting Paul Stapleton, and then Thursday is going to be an epic stream. Friday, there will be no show. I cannot repeat that enough. There will be no show that I am doing on Friday. There may be a show that Dina is doing on Friday, but I will not be doing a show. But Dina might be doing a show. Dina will be, I believe, doing a show on Friday, 10 a.m. UK time, but it will not be on my channel. I'll just be hosting it. But yeah, that is that. Lots of love. Feel free to share, spread the word. If you like music or just want to support, join in the raid. And that brings us to the end. So let me say thank you very much to you. Thank you very much again. And bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, bye. And it's only happened one time, but basically there was one person that I think they only allow maybe 7 emojis in one thing, and so I got to time out, and it gave the raid a sense of feeling. So if the raid message doesn't work, just go raid. And I'm glad that it's following. Thank you, Ian, for following me. Bye, 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 bye. This is goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, bye, bye. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Bye, bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, bye, bye. Bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day or night or evening, morning or sleep or whatever is appropriate for whenever you're watching. Lots of love and bye-bye. 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 Bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. 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 Bye. Bye.